Hi guys, this is Michael Bernales and once again welcome to my channel. Today I'll share with you my step-by-step tips on how to shoot SLOG 2 using your Sony APSC or full-frame cameras. If this is something that interests you, stay tuned because you might learn something in this episode. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bells for more videos like this in the future. Breaking down the content of this episode, I'll share with you the first is the equipments, the camera settings, how to expose your shot, and how to color grade. So let's start with camera body, lens, and variable ND filter or any filter. ND filter or variable ND filter is very important when shooting log profiles because by default your base ISO is I think in my A6500 it's 800. So the higher your ISO, it is more sensitive to light. So if you're planning to shoot log profiles, make sure to get one of ND filters. If you want to learn about ND filters, I'll link it somewhere here to check it, and I'll link it in the descriptions below. So the first thing that I usually do, I go to picture profile 7, and I just adjust the saturation to positive 24. I saw this in the tutorials of Donna did it and Beck increase. Second is I configure the zebra and set the custom button to 100 or 107 IRE. Basically what it does is it creates a zebra pattern that tells you that your highlights are not clipping. Everything that in these zebra lines is considered as completely white. SLOG or log profiles really love light. And for me, in my own opinion, the perfect way to check if you're nailing your exposures are, first thing that I check when shooting with SLOG is my multimeter and my histogram. I make sure that my shots are usually at plus 1.7 or 2. And I check my histogram and make sure that it is at the center. So what I usually do is I create 3 adjustment layers, and for the first adjustment layer I name it Rec 709, and this is just an adjustment layer, the yellow one, and the purple is the color grading. So first, I usually convert the video to Rec 709, and I'll link it in the description below. I'm using the SLOG 2 Rec 709 by Timmy Lodhi. For me, it is very convenient and fastest way to convert your flat profile to Rec 709. And for the adjustment, I usually go to the color correction tab and just tweak the contrast, highlights, and just make sure that this histogram here, that your exposure are not clipping, and your highlights are not clipping, and your blacks are not clipping, and just adjust it in the way you want, or the preferred colors that you want. And after that, I also go to curves to desaturate some oranges, because when you turn this off, you can see the oranges are very saturated. And for the color grading, I have here the lookup table that I purchased from Henbu. It is color grading lot for A7S3, and I just adjust it to 30%. And so for this image here, I also use the conversion lot from Timmy Lodhi. And the second thing that I usually do is I adjust the colors, which is in this shot. There are minor adjustments has been done, and I also use lookup table from Henbu just to fast track my color grading process. But also I will share how to manually color grade later. As you see, I think the colors are okay, but the sky is too overexposed, and I want to have details. I want to see the details. So I created another layer to color grade the sky. And so what I usually what I did to color grade the sky is I copy paste the Lumetri color, and I created the mask. And the mask feather is, I think it's 80, and I turned the temperature to, I adjusted the temperature to 20, and adjust the highlights to bring the details that we need, and also the shadows. And this is the before and after. In our third shot, I first converted the log profile into Rec 709, and same thing applies with the adjustment. So what I did is, first I corrected the color temperature. As you can see, it is very warm, so I adjusted it to cooler tone, and I made minimal adjustments in the basic correction tab, like the highlights and the whites. And the huge factor that changes this look is the curves. So what we did is, in the hue and saturation, I just desaturate the warm colors like the red, oranges, and some yellows. Here it is without the adjustment, and here is the adjusted shot. And last is I apply the custom LUT that I created. I will not discuss it in this tutorial, but I will create another tutorial for how to create LUT using Photoshop. So this is the shot. For this one, yeah, the same process. First I adjusted it to Rec 709 and made some adjustments on the basic correction tab. Basically, what I do is I bump the whites and the highlights, adjusted some contrast, shadows. Just make sure that the highlights and the blacks are not clipping. And I think I'm happy with the adjustment that I did. So the last is the manual color grading that I did for this one. So what I usually do is I first adjust the temperature to cooler tone and the tint slider to negative 6.3. And I also tweak some color wheels and match to create a warmer midtones. So and a little bit of blues in the shadow. So this is what it looks like without changing the shadows and applying some blues on the shadow. And also I desaturated some greens in here and boost the saturation of the sky. So this is what it looks like without modification. And for the last, Rec 709, and the second one is the basic correction. I usually dial it based on my preference, and I think the most important part here is the curves, because most of the shots that I am doing, or if I converted some shots, I usually having problems with the saturation of the orange. I think it is oversaturated as always. Look at the before and after. So what I usually do is I go to this curves tab and I desaturate the oranges. And once I think it is okay to me, I put the final color grading, the lot that I did, which I will share with you maybe in the weeks or two, or maybe in the weeks or two. So that's it, guys. Thanks for dropping by, and I hope you learned something from this episode. Go shoot log profiles. At first it is difficult, but in the long run, it is a game changer in your creative shots in the future. So if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. And thank you. Bye.